As we can see on the monthly here, we are continuing the one time framing higher. We're continuing this breakout above that 48.20. We do have today and tomorrow as the last 2 days of the month. So we'll see where this month finishes. Yesterday, we pretty much finished at the high, at the all time high of 49.56. And that'll be our data point to the upside as the market is trading a little bit lower here, 43.50. Switching over to the weekly, you can see we're in a developing +4 week, right? More importantly, our last week's close is below at that 49.16 quarter. Is going to be the level that we need to monitor. Should we get a pullback, that will be the key indication. A break below that would mean that some momentum traders are most likely trapped and you'll get some liquidation from there. Morning, Tommy. Switching over here to the daily, you can see yesterday we finished with a +4 day, all data points finishing higher, finishing close to that all-time high, and still with the one time framing higher, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row, and a break of the 49.1275 would bring us to that cessation of one time framing, yesterday's low. Key levels that we want to be watching into today, I think, are probably that 49.25, which was a little bit of resistance yesterday until the breakout, and then that 49.40, which is our prior equilibrium. Continued closes above the 49.40, I think, probably bring in higher prices. Closes below that 49.40 probably bring the market lower. And I think I'm going to move this equilibrium down a little bit. As we can see, we're getting a lot of touches right here at this 49.28. And that kind of lines up here with this previous weekly balance as well. Now switching over to the profile, look at yesterday's profile, do a little bit of review here. And so if we remember, yesterday's settle was 16.25, and the market did a little peak below it, put in a poor low, indicating to us that the selling had shut off. Yesterday was one of those days, right? We got value on overlapping or fairly close to overlapping of the previous day. We never quite broke the previous day's value area low, but it was a very, very close margin. Market put in that poor low and then moved back up and then just kind of held the settle from yesterday, which I think was 19.25. Held that settle and then got the steam and then just started to move higher real late in the day. It was kind of just like an explosion of stops that finally just got out of the way. So another break out of balance here. Balance rules will be in play. We did finish on a poor high, which is kind of an interesting look. The market opened in its last 30-minute period and gave up, rolled back down, and you can see overnight inventory is net short. We've got that settle 49.54 half. So the key thing today will be to monitor the breakout from balance. Morning, Tobias. Right, we have this balance, we're breaking out, and we're going to be monitoring to see if the market is going to get that continuation. As far as the plays go today, we're going to be kind of limited as far as play number 2 setting up, right? An entrance back into value is kind of the opposite thing that we want to see. And so what we can kind of do here is almost treat this like a gap from this 49, 32, 34 area. And should the market not be able to reach that area, we're looking to maybe get long and try to take it back into this upper distribution of the overnight profile and that overnight point of control. the interesting thing here is, and something we've got to remember, is yesterday was a +4 day. So we've got to be very cautious with longs underneath the settle, right? We don't want to be short above the settle, but this downside is kind of in favor here because we can assume that a lot of this volume that's up here, and you can see where the thin spot in the profiles are at as I draw them here. You've got one at like 45, you've got another one at like 35. You've got, real thin spots in all of these single prints here, and then most of the volume being down here. So if this was just a short covering rally, the odds are probably better for us to look to get short and try to fill some of these single prints. Now that's where the play is going to kind of set up, is you've got to kind of pick your sides. Um, and so what I'm going to be looking for the short side is if we get a little bit of a pop initially, and they try to correct overnight inventory and we can't make it up to this 49.50, I'm going to look to try to fade that down into these single prints and see how far down they can make it. If they can fill the single prints, that's great. We'll be targeting that 30. So we'll be looking about like 43, 45 down to that 30. If they can't fill the single prints and it starts to waver, trade sideways, probably want to be exiting that short and honestly looking for a long right there in that same spot, to try to trade back up to that 50 and into this upper distribution, right? But exercising caution, being very, very careful on that long side until we get above the settle. Now, one more thing, we do have JOLTS job reports today at 10 o'clock, so about 30 minutes after the market opens. Good morning, Thomas. So if you are going to trade that first 30 minutes of time, just be aware that that JOLTS report typically can move the market a bit and you may get some volatility. And if you have poor positioning in your trade may go against you. So you just need to be careful coming into this first half hour. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure that you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And remember, tomorrow is FOMC, so big day.